The world is a big place, and we're small. And with the world being a big place and us being small, how do we know, how should we determine where to do missionary work? How should we determine where to focus our evangelistic efforts? A lot of people have put a lot of effort into that question, a lot of studies and principles and 5 steps, and you can get whole degrees on the subject. What is the way that we should determine this? The scripture actually talks about it. What do you think it says? Do you want to learn? Let's look into it. We've been studying through 2 Corinthians, and we've come now in the 2nd chapter down to verse 12. And Paul is talking here, and it's part of his ongoing discussion of why he didn't go to Corinth when he had said he was planning to go to Corinth. And he says, "Now, when I went to Troas to preach the gospel of Christ and found that the Lord had opened a door for me," and then he goes on. But we're doing it one verse at a time, and this one verse has got sufficient to discuss. He was going to Troas for what purpose? To preach the good news of Christ. So he's going as a missionary. He's going to do evangelism. And then he talks about a criterion. And found that the Lord had opened a door for me. Who opened the door? The Lord opened the door. How do you know when the Lord is going to open a door? Good question, huh? You think your studies are going to do it? You think a study of geography and history is going to tell you that? Tell you what the Lord is going to do? There's a place where it says, unless the Lord build the house, the laborers labor in vain. Unless the Lord guards the city, the watchmen watch in vain. Do you think that applies here? I think so. Either God opens the door or he doesn't. In another place, Paul says, I planted, Apollos watered. It was God who gave the increase. So unless it's God who blesses the work, well, doesn't he always bless evangelism? It says here it's God who opens the door. God opens the door. We tend not to think that way. People make plans, 1-year plans, 5-year plans, 10-year plans, even 20-year plans of missionary work. Not so much the individual, but I'm talking about whole churches, groups, parachurch organizations. I ran into an open door one time in India. It was in the states of Punjab and Haryana. Now, there is a term in mission work that goes back 200 years. They call that region, it used to be under one government, it's now under 2 state governments, but they called that region of Punjab and Haryana the graveyard of missions. The graveyard of missions. You go there, you spend your life there, and the only thing that you will accomplish is having a grave with your name on it in India. You won't convert anybody. There are churches there. And interestingly enough, the Indians in those churches have surnames like Jones. Jones, that means that his great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather came from Wales as a railroad engineer and stayed on. Married an Indian woman, stayed on. And you have people named Cochrane and Douglas, who came there as Scots or Irish troops in the British Army, married an Indian woman and stayed on. And you have these Christians. You don't have converts. But when I was there, 2004, there was an explosion of interest in the gospel from the most unlikely source. You see, there had been a problem among the churches and how evangelism was done in Tamil Nadu at the far end of the country, nearly 1,000 miles south from there. The church had not kept its house in order, and the state had to step in. I am not going to fault the state. It's a horrible law, but I understand why they did it. The church did not keep its house in order. It's sad to say. I mean, some of the people that were the problem were people I knew, friends of mine, that wouldn't listen. So then the law came down. They basically made it illegal to convert people. Not quite, but made it very hard, very harsh penalties for trying to convert people from Hinduism to Christianity. And so, in the seat of Hinduism, where the Bhagavad Gita was written in Haryana and the adjacent Punjab, they weren't going to be outdone, so they passed a similar law where nobody had ever succeeded in any mission work at all. And when I was there, all the young people, high school age, college age, they'd see me, I look like I'm from America, and they'd say, "Are you a Christian? Tell me about the Christian God. We want to find out about it." Why were they asking? This is true. I'll tell you one thing that's true about college-age kids all around the world. If it's illegal, they want to do it. So by making Christianity illegal, everybody wanted in. If it's illegal, it must be fun. An open door. So I came back to America and I told everybody I knew in missions, there's an open door for mission work in Haryana. That's not in our 5-year plan. And nobody went, and nobody took advantage of the open door. What's better? Your 5-year plan for missions or God's open door?